There will be a time and a place in our future where we are going to pass to you the flag, the torch that we have carried, and you have got to be prepared. You've got to have good situational awareness, as pilots we say, and you've got to be prepared to face the battle of the world, the enemy of Christ who stands against God's children, and the battle is real, and the consequences are grave. And so, as we start here today, I just want to say that my journey started with homeschooling, and education was a challenge for me. And along the way, I discovered that I had learning challenges. And I found out that the way I'm wired doesn't fit for most traditional schooling, and I wondered if I'd ever amount to anything. Along the way, I discovered I wasn't stupid. I understood that I could figure things out that some couldn't. And today I'm just excited. I have an opportunity to teach and train. I have an opportunity to work with people who don't necessarily get it the first time. And when there are people who struggle, I get it. That's been my journey. And with God's grace and with the example that He has brought me through in my own life, I have opportunities to encourage others. And my goal here today is to encourage each of you on your journey. And there's really good news in this struggle. It's that each of us are being equipped to face the challenges of life. This is a direct result of the struggle. As a level of courage and confidence that grows in you as you face and overcome challenges, this equips you for what you're going to face in life, because there's a whole lifetime filled with challenges ahead. In my life as a pilot with Missionary Aviation Fellowship, God has helped me walk along this path. He's helped me to stand with other pilots and individuals in great stress and in times of great struggles. And so, what would I share with you guys today? It made me think back to a time when I sat down with a young man who wanted to pursue flying. And I said, really, there's only 5 things you need to know in flying. And he was like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, seriously, you do these 5 things, and when you start your flight training, your flight instructor is going to say, wow, you are a natural. And so in my role, I have a role of taking complicated things and breaking them down into simple things. But for today, what I have is 5 things for you for your life. 5 things that I think will help you be successful your whole lifetime. 1, I want to talk about levels of learning. I want to talk about the right kind of mindset. I want to talk about attitudes, and I want to talk about fear. Anybody here afraid? And I want to talk a little bit about trust. At the end of this past year, in December, I began working with a young man who came from Indonesia. He's part of an MAF International Pilot Training Program. We work to help equip national pilots in their country to be successful and to fly with us and join us in this mission aviation venture of taking the gospel message to the far ends of the earth. He was terrified. He was distraught. He sat in the briefing room with me, eyes welling up with tears and running down his face. He shared how his family had told him that he'd never be successful as a pilot. No Indonesian person had been successful as an MAF pilot. He was afraid of failing. Failure would bring shame on him, shame on his family, shame on his country. And in desperation and fear, he asked, what do I have to do to be successful? Fear was paralyzing him. Have you ever felt like that? What do you do? What do you need to do to be successful? Well, I sat down with him and I said, my job is to help you through levels of learning. You've done a lot of learning at a rote level. We're going to take all of those items and we're going to push them through understanding to application and to correlation level or problem solving. And it took time. I think I spent 40 hours of flight time, 120 hours of ground instruction to get him going. In response to my comment, he said, do you think I'll be successful? I said, I don't know. I said, it depends on a lot of things. There are lots of unknowns. I said, are you willing to follow my advice? Are you willing to work hard to do the exercises and the things that I've asked you to do? If you're willing to listen and willing to do those, I think, yes, I think you will be. I said, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that you'll be successful as an MAF pilot. But I can assure you of one thing, that you will be a much better pilot than you have ever been. You will understand things better. You will be able to do problem solving better than ever before. And when I think of that, I think of the verse in James chapter 1 verse 5 that tells us, if you ask for wisdom, God will give it generously, without finding fault. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all, and it will be given to him. And so I would say to you, as you seek wisdom, ask God, and he will give it to you. He has done that for me. When I think of mindset, what kind of a mindset should we have as we go forward? There's a book written by a Dr. Carol Dweck. She writes in her book, Mindset, that there's really only two mindsets out there. There's a fixed mindset and there's a growth mindset. And when I read her book, I was like, this is exactly what I see in the pilots that I've worked with and the people that I've trained all these years. And so, as she expounds on that, I read this and I'm like, this is exactly what I encountered. And this is what she says. She says, those who have fixed mindsets, they're really smart. They've been told they're smart. They've been told that they will go far. They have a perfectionist attitude, and they are high achievers. However, when they make a mistake, and even a very little one, they're simply destroyed, and they fall apart. They're fragile people, and they have to blame others for their failures. It's always somebody else's fault that they failed, and they end up victims. To protect themselves, they have to lie to themselves, to prop up their ego, and this messes up their ability to see and perceive and assess themselves and their surroundings accurately. As pilots, they demonstrate poor situational awareness and poor self-awareness. On the other hand, those who have a growth mindset typically have to work harder at learning. That was me. They're not the top students. That was me too. And they strive for good levels of achievement, but it's hard and it takes them longer. This group of people, though, they are robust. They're not prone to discouragement. They have faced struggles before and they've overcome them. Faced with new challenges, they go forward not knowing how they're going to succeed, but demonstrating confidence that they will succeed in the end. And they know their faults and limitations, and they can clearly see and perceive and assess themselves and their surroundings accurately. And as pilots, I've seen that they demonstrate very good situational awareness and safe and self-awareness. Over the years, I've watched some of these average pilots, maybe even considered below average pilots. One of these pilots that I know has served in Democratic Republic of Congo for 30 years successfully. How is that even possible? I mean, every day there's disease, corruption, militia, civil war. They get evacuated currently because of the fighting there, and much, much more every day. And trying to operate airplanes in a place like that is impossible. And yet every day they do this. Living in a place like Congo requires superhuman empowering of Christ and his calling and provision in all areas of life. These men and women are transforming some of the darkest places in the world with the power of God at work in them. And they don't give up easily. And like the Seabees in World War II, their motto was, if it's difficult, we'll get it done. And if it's impossible, well, it's going to take us just a little longer.